Hey, I've been looking at this potential project that I was thinking about doing, and I think I am not going to do it. It is awesome that it's big, but it is massive. 38 reducers, and the reducers are like non trivial. And it looks like an awful mess to convert. I mean, look at this form command. First of all, this is redundant and stupid, and I can't. This is a horrible looking code base. Why would you want? I mean, this is a special comment that will display this nice redundant phrase that takes up more screen real estate when display submit is self-descriptive. It's obvious what it is. A boolean that indicates if to display forms submit button. I mean, the comment's worse than the name itself. Menu reducer. You go back up here, same thing. This describes the function, then you can describe the parameters. That's cool, but it sucks. Menu reducer. If you were just hear that name, what would you think it does? Maybe it's a reducer that handles menu actions and updates the menu state. Probably that's what you'd think. And then this is even wrong. This state, the parameter state, look at this. State parameter, the initial menu state. That's not what it is. It's the menu state at any time it's called. And it happens to be defaulted to the initial state, but it is the current menu state, not the initial. Okay, so that is a comment that lies. And then action. The action to be performed on the state. That's what an action is. If you know what an action is at all, you know that this is what's going to happen. So this is almost like a circular reference. It's like, oh, the action to be performed on the state. Like, okay, what action is going to, like, how do you perform an action? Like, what does that mean? Okay, what's an action? Oh, an action is a thing that changes state. Okay, then you know. Oh, an action is an action. Honestly, the new reducer menu state. Okay, that's what it returns. All right, that's. Now imagine you have this. You look at this. You're like, menu reducer. Okay, there's state, menu state, action, and it returns menu state. There you go. That is all you need, and you don't need to put that garbage in your source code. You don't need to do any of this. I've never worked in a repository that uses this, so maybe it generates documentation external to the code, but I hate having it here. Where else would you have it? Nowhere. I would hope that something would exist that could generate this documentation. The types. Because the JavaScript is the JavaScript. That's not going to be as descriptive as the TypeScript, but the TypeScript should be good enough. All right? Yeah, so I'm just looking around and like this code is really, 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 really complicated. Look at all these methods and like this dot subs. Okay, it's not written in a reactive way because we're doing manual subscription. I mean, Angular Reactive Forms is basically jQuery with extra steps. And it's just a lot of side effects everywhere. And like, this is a code base that needs to be refactored, not just have a state management library swap. This is fundamentally not reactive, and it's pretty messy. The code base does not look pleasant to listen to. To edit. If you make a change, and then you go over to the terminal, it takes like 20 seconds for it to update. So this is like an app that could use. I mean, it's so massive and complicated that I just am glad that I don't have to work on it. I've worked on projects like this before, and it's a serious undertaking, and you just do what you can, and sometimes don't do what you can, just to prioritize and get things right. But I mean, let's just grab some other reducer. Also, I noticed on the homepage like 50 reducers instantiate. It's more like 15, but like, so lazy loading isn't really a pattern, even though it could have been probably. I don't know. 4 years ago, that Angular was kind of new still. Yeah, that was 2018. I think lazy loading was still, yes, lazy loading just had a different syntax. So yeah, even you, I think you even, yes, you could even lazy load with NGRX by then. So I don't want to work on this app. Let's look at something else. Request reducer. Yeah, I saw these. This is like state that is centralized for all of your requests. How useful is that for debugging? It's worse than just letting it be in the network tab, because at least in the network tab, it's not cluttering your other actions and your other state. So I used to explain why putting WebSocket state in one central place was a bad idea. Like, you put all the messages in one place, or and then in selectors, they were selecting from the messages and computing the state. That wasn't a good idea, and I used an example for that. What if every HTTP request you put the response in the same reducer? You think about it, like there's one way of getting data. It's HTTP, and so how nice would it be to just put all of that in one reducer? But that is obviously not helpful, because you have state that depends on that like it needs to now go get it from the reducer. And these are just like messages, I think. I'm not really sure what the point of these. I mean, success? Yeah, this is like a typical traditional NGRX app where people were overusing effects for just everything, and actions were just being dispatched all over the place. It was not minimal at all. Definitely not reactive, except in the selectors and like really shallow ways. And yeah, it was a shame. I was looking forward to working on this because it was a non-trivial thing, but it's like the opposite of non-trivial. It's the opposite of trivial. It's extremely non-trivial. It's like too hefty. It's too much. Let me just look at this map. Like, why are we mapping? It should just be one pure function. Most likely. I mean, I don't look at how many parameters this is taking. Like, you can just look at a code base. It's code smell. You can just look at it and be like, ooh, that. Oh man, look at this. This looks awful. Look how wide that line is. And then like how just littered it is with probably redundant comments. Let's see. UUIDs from href substring selector. Okay, so we're going to grab UUIDs from the href. So this would be, I would call this select UUIDs, maybe from href. Substring seems kind of redundant, but anyway. Create a selector that fetches a list of request UUIDs from a given index substate, of which the request href contains a given substring. That is confusing. Let's see. Fetches a list of request UUIDs from a given index substate. Index substate. Okay, index substate contains the href, which contains the substring. Substring selector. Okay, let's see what it's actually doing. Create selector. You got a selector. Okay, and it's defined separate from where it is, so we gotta. Oh, it's right below. Okay, that's good. That's good. If not empty state, you get the keys, and then you filter. Okay, wait. Keys of state, filter, includes href. This is like a parameter? Oh, I think, yes, that takes a parameter. So, okay, so they pass in an href, and it gets, this is in the request service. Has to do with request. You got selectors and service here. Service selectors file, but like selectors are pure functions. They should be like protected and isolated. That's why I like don't mind keeping them with adapters, because they're all together. Let's see. So we've got an href. Where does href come from? I thought about implementing parameters and StateAdapt selectors briefly before realizing, wait, where does the parameter come from? The StateAdapt is very opinionated that you should be managing all of your state. So if you have a selector that needs something from outside, either it's static and you can just hard code it in the selector or import it, or it's dynamic, in which case it should be state. So where does this come from? I don't know, but is it an accurate name at least? Key includes href map from key to state key. Okay. So. Okay. Oh wow, this is really weird. Oh, it's because you're in the request reducer. So all of the state properties are going to be URLs or something. Yeah. So it's just saying like, is it the href? I could maybe show. Let's see. So, yeah. So where's? Oh gosh, this is complicated. Where's the request stuff? It's not alphabetized, is it? Core. It's in core, right? Is there like request? Well, it might. Here it is, data request. Okay. This is not being used as a debug tool. This is confusing. What? Okay. The URL though itself is probably, it's not readable on purpose. Well, just how it is. It's an ID, UUID. So the request. What's this for? Client. Request. Get. You have no idea what this is. Yeah, so if I were to try to put StateAdapt here, it would be like deciphering like an ancient language of some kind. Let's see if we can find a reducer that isn't insane. Sidebar reducer. Let's. Oops. Let's see what we have. Like that sounds complicated. Selectable list reducer. See, that sounds like it should be an adapter because it's a pattern. Selectable list, the actual state inside of it, like that should be able to be anything. Object update. Yeah, these are like primitives. They don't belong in a central place. But let's just see what they have in here. The state for a single field. Field state, okay. Path where discarded objects are saved. Object updates trash path. I would call this discarded objects path. Maybe. And get rid of the comment. List of states for all the fields for a single page. Mapped by UUID. Yeah, this feels like it was over-engineered a long time ago. That's what this feels like. Like somebody created a huge architecture before they knew the technology, what they were working with, and what was going to be difficult with it. Turns out the boilerplate, like, they just ran with it, and like, just, yeah. This, okay. List of states for all the field states. The states for all virtual metadata selections available for a single page mapped by the relationship UUID. I mean, look, you've got mapped by, I mean, that's not included in the glance. If you're looking somewhere else and you're importing it and you mouse over it, it's just going to show that. That's one of my complaints with TypeScript is types just end up being the type. You have no idea how they were defined. That is something that, because if you moused over it and it showed you this becomes redundant information. As it is, you could click through to it. I would say that the cost of doing that on a day-to-day basis is not like high enough to justify making your source code look like crap. That's my opinion. And, you know, I don't know any of these developers. Like, you see the names coming up, but I don't really, you know, that it could be like a, you know, that looks like a giant commit, intermediate commit for tests. Like, this isn't a test file. Yeah, there's no way. So don't blame this guy. I don't know. I don't care who did it. It could have been a committee. I don't know. Committee decision. The states of all virtual metadata selections available for a single page by relationship. Relationship UUID? Why is it called source? And it's possible that you get out of sync comments, and now I don't know if I can even trust this comment because the variable name does not match what it says it is. So choose one, put effort into it. You have to choose the code. You can't build an app with comments. The states of all virtual metadata selections available for virtual meta. I mean, this seems like assumed. All virtual metadata selections. Like, you can infer that, I think. Available. You can assume they're available. Virtual metadata sources. This is calling them selections. Are they selections or sources? And is a source actually the UUID? I would call this virtual metadata sources, and I would name that UUID. The source is on the right hand side. It says it's a source. This comment is probably right, but anyway. So I like how you can just see how much repetition is in switch statements here. It looks like a Christmas tree, you know, like not a Christmas tree like pointy, but it looks like Christmas lights. Just blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow. It looks so much repetition. Actually, just for fun, maybe I'll take a crack at writing what this would be if it was in an adapter. Okay. Object updates. So I bet objects are like a special thing in the business logic and like the domain. Object updates adapter. Create adapter. Object updates action. No, what is state? They're inferring it, but okay, I've made it an any. If I take that out, it is an any. Maybe this really is just an object updates reducer. Yep, initialize fields. Oh no. Yeah, this is not like. I would say rewrite this whole thing. That's what I would do. Just section off big chunks and rewrite them. I think maybe in React, I don't know. It just seems hard to save. And I don't know. This thing is just used everywhere. So yeah, it depends on what's using it. I mean, I don't know anything about this app, so let's see. Any. So great. That sucks. Okay, so action. There's not one. See, this is one other thing I hate about NGRX. It's a union of all kinds of types, but and then you want to narrow it down. Like, too bad. Like that, you got to do this. Okay, so initialize fields. You get state, and then actually this has the update in it. So it's, I mean, your adapter is literally a list of these. So let's take advantage of this Christmas tree, this Christmas lights, these Christmas lights, and let's go down and okay. You can already see where this is going. Oh, I already had that. All right. All of that became that. Type inference is great. It's I wanted everything to be inferred in StateAdapt. I don't know if this actually, how much it actually helps, but yeah, look at that. So that is pretty much all I would actually change in this file anyway, because there's no point in changing these. These are standalone functions. I mean, I'd probably change that. Yeah, I would change the action. It would just be payload, which evidently is a URL, an identifiable, I guess that has an ID. An object with an ID, I mean, hopefully. Change type, field change type. Oh, this is, okay. This is like for forms. Probably. No, they have a forms reducer too, yeah. I just don't know what to do about any of this. It's just, and like unnecessary typing. I guess it's necessary because, oh no, they're typing the action. The action is typed. So this would basically be, well, you just take out URL, field, and change type right here. So let's just do that just for fun. Payload or field and change type. So this is what it would become. Let's get more room. That's what it would become. So that goes away. And that's it. Like, what happened to the change type? Are they not using it? Nope, apparently not. Oh, down here. Anyway, so a lot would be reduced. Well, actually, just extracting it would be reduced. But in all fairness, I think this may have been written before destructuring was. No, I think destruction was definitely a thing by this time. All right. Well, that was, yeah. So I do not feel like doing this project at all. I'm going to move on to the next one. I already skipped a couple because they're like trivial, which makes me feel sad, but I'll find one. I know at least one's going to be good. So looking forward to that. And yeah, what am I doing here? There we go. Yep. All right. Well, thanks for watching this and watch me rant about this random code base I found. All right. Bye.